A Toxic Friend Guide. Chapter 1. Friends will betray you. Loser friends aren't worth it. What about that song by Bob Seger, "Surrounded by strangers I thought were my friends"? Then there was Paul Simon, "I don't have a friend who feels at EAE. When I was young, I used to hang around with my deep-thinking friends and we would talk about intellectual subjects. Then we grew up. Life in society is about ego, status, and money. Friends grow apart. I had several fair-weather friends leeching off me, hanging around at my house, eating my food, smoking my grass, making a mess. One time I said, I'm going to my camp to do some work, anyone want to come and help me? Only one did. He did some work but didn't really want to. The book of Proverbs talks about lazy people and drunkards. Dante Alighieri has sloth and gluttony as two of his 7 deadly sins. The lesson is, don't waste time on loser friends just because you might feel lonely. Several people I was kind to stole things from me in a blatant way. In the 1982 movie Trading Places, Eddie Murphy gets a free mansion, his fair-weather friends trash it and he learns that these people do not respect him or his stuff. It's better to be alone than to have evil, low-life acummy friends who use you for whatever they can get. Addicts and secular young people. All addicts, unemployed and poor people will steal from you. I was brought up a Catholic. We had a religious code. People say you can grow up without religion and be a good person. I find that hard to believe considering the narcissistic materialistic culture we live in. I generally don't trust secular young people because they're all poor. They have no moral base unless people brought up with religion. Western ideology is the end justifies the means. Look at those TV shows, Big Brother, Survivor, etc. They promote backstabbing because that's how someone wins. Many think it's okay to steal from others because anything goes in taking care of themselves. It happened to me, trying to help my relatives. They feel justified to steal because we're taught left-wing ideas in school. If I'm poor and you're rich, you owe me some of the fat of the land. Parasite friends. There are parasites who will suck the joy out of you if they think you're their listening board or therapist. Don't talk about your miserable life or problems all that much. Don't lend money to a friend unless you plan to lose the money and your friend. The world is made up of naive people willing to go out on a limb for fake friends. A real friend doesn't put a friend in an uncomfortable position like asking to borrow money or even a place to stay. A friend will offer a place to stay, but after a week, everybody becomes an unwelcome guest. You know somebody is a parasite if they constantly take and try to make you feel guilty. It's your fault if you allow yourself to be somebody's doormat. I'm very far away from my 25-year-old naive self. Most older people know better than to take liberties with friends. I met so many wolves in sheep's clothing as a young man that I'm happy to be so cynical now because that's the real world. The tighter the economy, the less you can trust people. Chapter 2. Red Flag Guys/Red Flag Guys. Is he marriage material? Is he a good husband? I found a love advice book from 1948 about relationships and etiquette. The woman who wrote the book gave rules which told other women how you would know if the guy was a keeper or a slob. It was mostly in the little details. A good guy is empathetic. He can put himself in your frame of mind. Because of this, he always does the righteous, polite thing. He will not be rude or give lame excuses like claiming he forgot to do something when he was really being disrespectful, lazy, or trying to sleaze out of helping the woman in some way. Here are some ideas from the book. If you go to the store to buy groceries together for a picnic, then he says he forget his money, that's a sign that he's a scumbag. If you do something nice for him and he doesn't even say thank you, he couldn't be that good of a guy. No guy should ask for money for anything like to prop up his floundering business or to pay the check for the meal you both just ate. If you lend a guy money and he doesn't say anything about paying it back for 2 weeks, he has conveniently forgotten and will ask you again for more money. If there is a lack of civility or common courtesy, you must not give him your love because he's not worth it. Girls think that if a guy loves them or says he does, most things are forgivable, but you're a sucker if you take those little rude, ignorant, stupid, sarcastic acts and let them go, because people reveal who they really are in their little actions. The little things reveal the true character. A lot of men don't like to talk or even listen. If you can't have a straight conversation where the guy is not fidgeting with the newspaper or doing something else while talking to you, that's a bad sign. If a guy wants to be in a relationship, he has to talk. For me, most talk is meaningless. I don't even like small talk anymore. I used to, but it's all meaningless to me. Everything is primal, my touch, my intensity, my eye contact, my chi. A good guy doesn't want to be mothered. He cleans up after himself. He even washes his own clothes. A bad guy wants a girlfriend or wife who mothers him. There has to be some give and take. Don't nag. Give love. Expect love back. If you don't get love, don't try to change him and think he will act more loving. Leave. A good guy loves his life and his wife. Don't be negative. Why bother trying to put a guilt trip on him? Just leave the relationship. Don't try to be with each other all the time or ask about where each other was. True love is not jealous or distrusting. The guy has to give love. He has to give you some show of love all the time. There is a happy medium between being together and have time away from each other. Some guys don't want to be hassled all the time. Guys should be courteous. Say please and thank you. Tell him you want to feel that he appreciates you every day. Use humor to try to get your manipulative points across. Guys are tired from work. Don't fall for jerk-off assholes. Make a dude earn your respect. Don't be too available or clingy. Slow down. Don't open your legs up right away. Most guys are average mooks. They might be jerks or just average, boring people. Guys in general are not romantic, poetic, or sensitive, but some are. Most guys are just brainwashed assholes fulfilling the typical male stereotype. The cooler the guy comes off is usually the measure of how much of a jerk he is. Guys that act cool are usually exploiters and abusers. The more polite, dull-looking, and acting guys make the more stable, kind boyfriends. Slow down. Don't be so quick to fall for a good-looking bum. Don't be so quick to reject the plain guy with a regular job, manners, and money. Be friends first, get to know the guy. The sleazo wants sex right now. The right kind of guys will be willing to slow it down. Women want a bad boy because they've been brainwashed by pop culture entertainment. Don't go crying when he breaks your heart. Don't mistake kindness as wimpiness. In this day and age, a sincerely kind man is rare. Lots of jerks pretend to be kind, but their true colors show soon enough. The really smooth guys are usually con artists, all talk, no backbone substance. It's easy to get sucked into a con artist's charm. Once you see that a guy is a jerk-off, don't hang around. The way a jerk-off guy presents himself at first is phony. See if he's still interested if you don't offer sex for a week or more. Demand respect. The good guy will stay. Everyone else will leave. Respect is a guy who lets you be you without trying to control you. Love is a guy who wants to fulfill your needs. Make a line and let him know what your limits are. If he loves you, he'll play it your way. A guy who is not interested in your thoughts and feelings is not a good guy. If you can't talk deeply and freely, it's not love. A guy who listens sincerely is someone who loves you. Test a guy. Tell him stuff about you, then ask him about it later. If he doesn't seem to be able to want to connect to you on an emotional level, he's not your future husband. Don't give in to sex at first. You have to build an emotional bridge if you want a good relationship. The easiest way to see if a guy is for real is to see if he stays after you say you're not ready for sex in the first 2 months. Redneck Mook video game guys. One study showed that women judged 90% of men as being sub-average. They only have eyes for the top 5% of men, and they do ask out, pursue and chase men, but it's only the top 5% of men. The only time they'll accept a date from a loser, as they're programmed to perceive a normal guy, is if he does a ton of work to get her. Cracked.com. I have nothing against average guys who work average jobs, drink beer at least once a week, play video games, watch sports on TV and are generally lazy, brainwashed, passive spectator consumers. There are plenty of girls like this, except that their interests are pop culture, entertainment, cosmetics, clothes, frivolous magazines, and hair color. You can be a mook all you want provided you're not actively looking around for someone to love. You need a few things going on if you want to attract a worthy chick. 1. Respect yourself by releasing your natural inspired energy everybody. 2. Respect your body. Don't be overweight or a pale, skinny nerd. 3. Shave every day. 4. When going somewhere where there could be chicks, take a shower and put on some decent clothes. 5. Don't wear a baseball hat. 6. Don't wear an earring. Present yourself to the world as your God created you. 7. Don't color your hair as I've seen some guys do. 8. Don't try to come off loud and boisterous. 9. Don't drink much alcohol. Treat every woman with the same respect you give to your mother. Your mother subconsciously competes with your girlfriend for attention. Don't visit your mother with her until you've been with a girl for at least 3 months. Women, for the most part, are attracted to mature men, which means don't play video games, collect comics, watch cartoons, watch sports on TV, listen to heavy metal, play Dungeons and Dragons, drive a souped-up car, read GQ, live in a house with 3 or more guys, or wear an earring. If you have kinky fetishes, don't reveal them until at least after 3 months of dating. Clean yourself up. Mature girls don't like the grunge look. Don't talk about past relationships. Just say it's gone, I don't care about it anymore. Begin a conversation with compliments, discussions of common interests, questions, etc. Be real. Don't use stupid pick-up lines you got from some cartoon. It looks creepy and nerdy. Don't put a girl down trying to be cute or joking. Some guys think that a negative comment will make some girls want to prove themselves to you. Don't act like a wise know-it-all enlightening some young naive chick. You don't have to correct someone or give unsolicited advice. People hate other people using the word hot because it's used by brainwashed goofballs in general. If you meet someone and they're not Anglo-Saxon like you, don't be too nosy about their ethnicity. Some people are touchy like that. A public place that involves alcohol is usually all pretense or image. If you try to kiss a girl and she steps back, don't try to manipulate her by telling her not to be so tense. You should know if a girl likes you and wants to be kissed. Don't act like the sad kid who needs comforting. Don't tell sob stories to people you barely know. They don't care and don't want you to bring misery into their lives. Just be yourself. Don't rely on ploys or schemes. Bad boys info. Use them, abuse them, and then lose them. Bad boys are generally not just bad boys with the rules. They're bad boys with girls too. Bad boys, bad boys. What ya gonna do? What ya gonna do? When they come for you. Theme from TV show Cops. In the old days when Oprah was the queen bee, she used to say that if a guy tells you he's bad, listen. He is bad. There is an X factor for girls that defies logic. Some naive pop culture brainwashed girls looking for love, not a provider, are nowhere near as rational as men, so as such their thinking patterns can be more skewed in the emotional realm, which leads them to act out of primal intuition, rebellion, cultural coolness, call it what you will, but plenty of girls are counterintuitive when it comes to men. They don't want the generic nice guy. They either want a bad boy or somebody uncouth and savage they think they can tame. A lot of girls are self-destructive and self-deprecating for some reason. They need to mother a guy or take abuse from him in order to feel good, so a lot of girls like reckless, seemingly callous types of guys because they probably think they can save him from himself, like in a romance novel. There's usually a flawed hero in there which the girl saves, then he loves her passionately forever. Real bad boys often end up dead or in jail, but worse yet, they abuse women and commit criminal acts against them. I remember watching one of them detective shows. Some middle-class type girl struck up a correspondence with some guy in jail, he gets out, invites her over to where he's staying. She thinks it's a safe, innocent kinda thing, and besides she's liberal and open-minded, so she goes over. He ends up raping her in front of 2 other guys, then strangles her and disposes of the body. The bad boy image might be cute and alluring when you see the troubled but idealistic loner in those few rebel without a cause movies James Dean made, or you see a fresh-faced Marlon Brando playing a motorcycle tough in the 1950s, but it ain't like that in real life these days. Bad boys are angry people who hate the world, hate the system, and feel the world owes them a living. So if you wanna take a walk on the wild side, beware that you could find yourself 6 feet under. That reminds me of another case I saw on TV. Some high school girl was playing the part of skinhead punk, alternative groupie, so she hitchhikes to Toronto, which is a crazy thing for girls to do in this day and age, meets up with some punkers, goes to a squat, vacant house in the ghetto, with them, stays there. Then the next day, while there are 2 guys in the house and her, one guy rapes her, kills her, takes her shoes, heavy-duty hiking boots, lights her body on fire, and the only way he got caught was that he was wearing those boots. A lot of punky guys like to play bad boy, and you might be attracted because he seems so cool, alluring, and dangerous, but first of all, he's a punk. A real man wouldn't waste his time. He'd be doing something to try to improve his life without bothering with some image he got from rap videos. Secondly, he's got an image to try to keep up and gives all to that image. Who cares? Thirdly, all these wannabe bad boys are losers in the real world. They ain't got no money, at least not honest money. They hang around being punky and loud and hurt people to get their kicks because they're so angry at life that they have to put others down. Badass boys or wannabe badasses love only one person, themselves. It's all about image and using people. They don't care about you. They will use you to get what they can. They're generally lazy, they don't want to work a respectable job. They're not even artists doing their own thing. They're not doing nothing useful or positive. The fallacy is that punkers, skinheads, and other rebel images are freer and don't care what others think like the average guy hooked on pop culture brainwash does, but this isn't true. They're so image conscious that they pick a so-called rebel image and live by it, whereas a real man doesn't waste his time culturing a unique hairstyle, tattoos, piercings, etc. He's working or going to school doing something with his life, while this lost soul wannabe is going around with some image he borrowed from the outside world that's not the real him. True artists work on their craft. They don't waste time playing dress up in a bad boy image. A lot of girls seem to think that some guy with a couple of earrings on, colored hair and grunge clothes is some kind of deep, profound alternative thinker too advanced for the conventional world, but real artists don't do stupid things to attract attention to themselves or put forth an image. They do their work quietly with joy. They don't have to put on an image for anybody. It's anybody's right to reject the mainstream, but you still have to pay your way in the real world. If you live in squats, homeless shelters, or your mother's/friend's place, it's not real. You're not paying your way. The only way to be alternative and legitimate is to be wise enough to find the means to pay your way whilst being true to yourself. Anybody is entitled to do drugs and drink booze as far as I'm concerned, but if you're some down-and-out junkie panhandling money for your next fix or doing nothing productive with your life, you lose. I like my drugs and booze in moderation as a sideshow to the inspired activities in my life. Bad boys feel that part of their image is to cheat on their girlfriends and get any piece of tail they can. Bad boys are manipulative. They try to get you to do things you otherwise wouldn't do in order to corrupt whatever ideals you have, so you become another loser like him and give him sex when he wants it. Real men don't have to put on images or be genuinely evil. They do positive things quietly in order to get what they want out of life. Some warning behaviors are violent and aggressive, condescending, vain, disrespects you, cheats on you then sweet talks you, puts you down, liar, steals money, changes moods, nice for a while then gets angry, rude in general. You don't feel safe with him. It's like it's in the realm of possibility that he could choke you on a whim. Good players and bad players. Good players are guys who go out with the vibe that they're there for a good time. They're not leading anybody on. It's like I'm here to have fun. Tomorrow morning I got other things to do. They send off the message I'm not looking to fall in love with anyone. He just does his thing and doesn't bother trying to persuade you that he is good for you. A bad player is someone who pretends to be nice in order to convince you to have sex with him. They might use devious tricks like playing on your insecurities, trying to get you to subconsciously want to gain their approval by letting them touch your boobs. Bad players are the liars and manipulators. They try to get you to fall in love with them. Often it's not just for sex, it's for some misguided feeling of power or to use girls materially for money, a place to sleep, food, etc. He's not really on the up and up in his dating interactions. His words are not congruent with his behavior. He's manipulative and self-centered, using people to meet his own needs in a selfish way that disregards the feelings of others. He tends to be charming. Sometimes he's purely after sex, other times it's about conquest, and once he's been validated that he's desired, he withdraws. If a guy is too slack or disappears for days then suddenly reappears, he's probably juggling 2 or more girls. The guy might have 2 cell phones. If not, he'll shut the ring off then his calls privately. If a guy is always making excuses about why he can't spend more time with you or acts nervous if you go to his place, he's hiding something. Some guys try to use the spiritual, sensitive thing based on something they've read, but I saw one of them dating shows on TV where the guy starts the date by saying he's a spiritual guy. A real spiritual guy would never say that. You can tell if a guy is spiritual if he looks like he respects himself and takes care of himself and doesn't look like a grease ball. If you're mundane looking bag of crap, you're not spiritual, so don't try to pretend you are. Spot the bum/a Dudley guy. Women often get smitten by a guy very quickly and get into a relationship with him quickly. Slow down. There's no way you can really get to know someone quickly. Get to know who they are before jumping into a relationship. Keep him at arm's length for a while. This keeps you from getting involved with a bum and realizing too late. Bums are usually great charmers. That's their weapon of deception. The great guys tell the truth even if it sounds dull. The right kind of guys will be willing to go slow. The bum will want sex right away. Women are into the bad boys but cry wolf when they break their heart. Bad boys seem interesting but they're bad because they have no morals. They'll use you to get what they want. Nice guys might be dull and have no edge, but at least you won't get killed, beaten up or cheated on by one of them. The biggest complaints women have are as follows. The guy is cheap. Doesn't have a car. He assumes you're going to have sex with him on the first date. He lives with his parents. He asks the waitress if everything costs extra money. He sleazes out of paying for something by sticking you with it. He's mean to his mom. He doesn't use good grammar. He gets drunk to avoid life. He's a couch potato. He checks out other girls while with you. He brags. He's pushy. He seems hooked on his mobile device. If a guy acts a little too smooth and is a big talker, watch out. If a guy always says nice, charming things, watch out. The good guy speaks through actions. The bad guy is a big bullshitter and charmer. If the guy spends money on you, that's a good sign. If the guy doesn't try to control you or manipulate you but lets you be yourself, that's good. If the guy doesn't try to understand your point of view, watch out. If the guy doesn't talk about personal things and open up with you, watch out. If the guy doesn't listen to you, watch out. If you don't connect on an emotional level, it will just get worse later on. A man who really loves you would not try to pressure you to have sex with him. Jerk 1. Assholes, guys who are closed, distant, and self-absorbed. Never treats me sweet and gentle the way he should. My poor heart is sentimental, not made of wood. He don't love me like I love him. Nobody could. I got it bad and that ain't good. Duke Ellington NPF. Webster. The psychobabble reason for jerky men is that they didn't get to bond strongly with a father figure as children, so they secretly hate their mother who brought them up as wimps and now take out this rage on all women including their wives. There are some masochistic women, the codependent type, who weren't loved enough as children, who seek out this type of guy because they know he can't generally find anyone else, so he will need her and she will have someone she can love to replace her absentee or neglecting father who didn't love her enough. In general, jerks are the cold ones, guys and girls alike, who don't really love you but want to use you for something, either sex, status, money, companionship, etc., and will spin you through a web of deception leading you on, lies, half-truths, etc. They can be warm and charm the pants off you, then suddenly get cold and vicious. They often have problems within themselves to help make them like this. Many are cold people not capable of true love. Some are, but they're immature and have to work some things out to get to the place where they know they really want love. If you can't talk to someone straight, simple, and true without any bull, then there's something wrong. Don't waste your time. You could be the instigator because you enable a guy's jerkish behavior. You're so afraid of breaking up or so into mothering him and feeling responsible for him that you let him stay and take all his crap. You have to separate yourself enough from any guy such that you have your own identity and are far enough away such that you can see what his problems are in life in general, but you don't have to be responsible for them. In basic emotional wiring, guys are like girls, but they can act like emotional dunces and get away with it more. But even though this is alright if it's not harming you, it can be bad if the guy doesn't show you any loving emotions at all. Your only recourse is to step it up a notch, come on strong and watch his reaction. If he responds, there's hope. If he stays a dunce, get rid of him. He's not worth it. A lot of guys are simply ambivalent about the concept of a monogamous relationship. He wants his cake and to eat it too, a main squeeze at home, then go out, play the field, party, etc., do whatever he wants when he wants. Can you have both, a great monogamous love and freedom too? That's the eternal question. A lot of guys try to have both but usually alienate the girl in the process. Monogamy means commitment, responsibility, and sacrificing some of your freedom to be with her because you think she's worth it, but a lot of jerks try to burn the candle at both ends. If the guy doesn't nurture you and treat you as a perfectly wonderful feminine bundle of joy right off, he doesn't love you. Some guys are shy, but you should be able to tell the difference between a shy guy who really loves you and the cold, callous jerk who's just playing you. Once ambivalent, always ambivalent. If a guy is lukewarm with you in any way at all, he's not the true love you want. Cut your losses now to avoid the pain, either a breakup or an unfulfilled marriage. Normal people always live by reciprocity. If somebody does nice things for them, they want to return the favor. This is an easy test to separate the real men from the jerks. If you give and he takes without thanking you verbally, telling you that you shouldn't be so nice to him and not repaying the kindness in some way, then you know he's a jerk. It's your cue to leave. Granted, some guys are emotional dunces and don't get it, so you tell the guy subtly what you like and how you want to be treated, and if he doesn't take the hint, that's strike two, one more violation and he's out. A lot of men and women alike are simply angry at life because they don't drive a big Mercedes, have oodles of money, or live like all the frivolous people on TV, an easy breezy cool lifestyle, so they perpetually feel that they don't measure up to the Joneses standard and feel empty because of it, thereby taking it out on their alleged loved ones. I've been around angry girls and guys. Often people start out as good friends being upbeat, but after a certain point they let out their true feelings of anger and it's nasty. Some people are permanently angry. They might not take it out on you, just use you as their sounding board while they ventilate. There was one guy I used to drive to work with every morning and night. He smoked incessantly and hollered at the other cars as he drove. It was horrible, day in and day out. Who would anyone want to be with someone like that? Everybody's a little crazy in their own minds, which is perfectly normal, but if somebody crosses the line into irrational, disturbed behavior, it's wrong. Keep all those stupid feelings to yourself if you don't want to alienate your lover. If you act like a klutz and show all your petty behaviors, then you're a jerk, not worthy of a relationship anyway. Don't take liberties with your lover. Treat him or her with proper respect all the time. Don't cross the line into jerky behavior. The general litmus test for jerky behavior is how open and honest they are with you. If they're hiding something or beating around the bush as to how loving and committed they are, playing you in some way, they're jerks. Jerks are generally people who have high opinions of themselves and don't care much about anyone else. This is fine if you plan to be single, but if you want a relationship and you don't offer much, you're a jerk. Jerks are generally people who are consciously rude, arrogant, cheap, stingy, callous, and not particularly interested in developing a relationship for love, rather just to use the girl or guy to get what they can for themselves, usually sex, money, a free place to stay, etc. Jerks are generally self-centered with no inclination to feel for the other person or show any consideration to them. Jerks are people who act like they got it going on, a little loud and arrogant on the side to boot. They're name-droppers, suckholes, and flatterers. The jerk is always looking at other chicks or guys and flirting even in your presence. Jerks are critics, criticizing everything, even you, while they're not exactly cock of the walk. Jerks are often schizophrenic in an unstable way, being nice for a while then going to jerkiness. These are the worst kind of people, worse than somebody who's all nasty, because with them you know what you're getting all the time, but with a jerk it's like they will act nice for a while then turn on you, either hollering at you, trying to put you down, or embarrass you somehow. Who needs it? Don't waste your time. Jerks often think they're nice people. They don't even realize they're being jerks. That's the folly of it. They're so self-centered, living in their little bubbles, that they think everybody thinks they're all right people. They need a good dose of reality to come down to earth, and if you criticize them, they think you're the one that's screwed up and trivial, taking out on them. So generally jerks don't change their colors, although a few people mature with age and give up jerky behavior. Some women claim to be always attracting jerks. Why do you stay with the bum? The answer's not that simple. He may have been good once, but since deteriorated to this new, modified condition, a shell of his former self. It may be the victim complex, that feeling bad deep down makes you feel good in some unhealthy way. It may be that he provides you with a roof over your head and money. It may be that you're afraid of being alone. You may be hooked on some past abusive father complex. It may be the nurturing part of you that wants to help him and thinks you can change him. Bottom line in all of this is that you will never be able to please these guys. They will run you down emotionally, then, when it's all over, they will leave you hanging. You have to accept the fact that he's not going to change to please you, so you have to move on. You will be scared and probably depressed initially, but you have to muster up enough courage to make that move. Join a group and go to friends for support. If you need to escape, secretly save money while you upgrade your skills and or look for a job. Then, when you're ready, quietly move into an apartment and split while he's out. It may be because you're sending out the wrong cues psychologically and somehow setting yourself up for the fall, repeating that pattern over and over, i.e. the victim complex. It may be that you're just too open and give the wrong guys a chance to date you. It may be just bad luck, but I believe it has something to do with the false nature many men develop about love in general, thinking they can play girls simply because they sense the girl loves them more than they love her. Although no one will admit to it, many men and women alike hate the opposite sex, have contempt for them and feel superior to them even though they still get into relationships with them. Beware of the subconscious vibes you get from your lover with his or her general comments about the opposite sex. Even though jerks can be charming people who are interesting to have around, ultimately, they will use you and betray you if you keep them around. The longer you keep one, the longer you keep yourself away from meeting your soulmate. In general, jerks are either or all of lazy, not ambitious, have broken spirits, are uninspired for life, are addicted to something negative, are phonies, manipulators, liars, crybabies, wimps, immature, blamers, abusers, misfits, dangerous risk-takers, Casanova conquerors, or married men looking for a lover. The most common jerk is the hot-cold commitment guy saying, I want to be with you, no I don't, all in the same breath, constantly playing that game with your emotions. In general, jerks are pipe dream dreamers with unrealistic goals without the ambition to follow through, players/male sluts, women haters, angry men, drunks, one of the boys always with his gang, a fashion-conscious guy, an effeminate guy, Gorgeous George, Mr. Total Success Businessman, Mr. Sexual Conqueror, Mr. Perfect, Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Aggressive, Mr. Testosterone, etc. Jerk 2. It's not all about bad boys who will hurt you physically and try to control you mentally. If you want a monogamous relationship, there are some guys not cut out for it. Listed below are examples of risky bets or behavior that should tell you to get out of the relationship. All of these people can date you, romance you, and act like they care, but underneath it all, they're just not capable of real love. The guy who acts like he's in love but can't do the commitment behaviors. Closet gay. Rich snob. Midlife crisis. The lost hedonist. He feels empty and looks for sex to fill the hole. The guy who acts all loving then takes off. Dreamy artist with no desire to get a real job. Mama's boy. Addicted to something. Aimless. Mourning his ex. Workaholic. The player, always looking for a new girl. The lover, conquers a girl then looks for a new love. The guy who's still a boy, still thinks he's gonna be a rock star, has some unreasonable dream. If you feel nothing for a guy up front, don't go on a second date. If other girls warn you about a guy, listen to them. The guy is a gay in denial. If the guy can't sit through a date without being jerky, there's something wrong. The rebel without a cause. The depressed or forlorn guy. An effeminate guy who claims he's straight. The guy's guy, hanging around with guys. The metrosexual, into grooming, looking good. The flirter who does not go further. Horrible past romance track record. A guy who's plain ugly with no charisma. A guy with lots of money without looks, kindness, or charm. The extreme activist type. The psychobabble types, claim to be deep intellectuals. A guy with bad grooming, bad personal hygiene. A guy who talks a lot with no action. Any guy or girl you intuitively feel has something deep inside wrong with him or her. A guy who lies on the internet. An anti-relationship guy. Many grown men have never been in a real romantic relationship. The ex who keeps calling back for sex. Guy always on cell phone or BlackBerry. Doesn't know how to please a woman. Addict, compulsive behavior. The macho man. He comes off strong, silent, and cool, but underneath it all, he just doesn't have it to love and commit to a woman. The critic. He lives in his self-centered world where he's king and he's always mouthing off to you about how inadequate you are and what you did wrong. He will control you and belittle you. He's an insecure loser underneath it all to have to put others down to build himself up. The batterer. The ultimate controller, the schoolyard bully grown up compensating for his inadequacies by beating up on you. He will even blame you for it later. Once they hit you once, they will keep doing it. If he's always uptight and throws temper tantrums, watch out. Own-upmanship. Always playing a silent power struggle game with you. Needy personality. Doesn't listen to you. Never initiates. Too shy. Not connected spiritually. Not relaxed around each other. Less committed than you. Too independent. Doesn't support you. Violent tendencies. Spontaneous anger. People pleaser. Such a person is hiding a weak identity. Someone who's too into status and or wealth for themselves and where their lover fits on the scale. Too self-centered. Boring person. Talk too much. Very quiet. Critical of everything. Too young, not mature. Don't think highly of themselves. Obsessed with sex. Apathetic about sex. Somebody not mature enough to take on the responsibilities of life. People who like to argue. Blamers. Bored people. Too serious. No money. No ambition. Couch potato. Downtrodden, tired, uninspired. Feels guilty about things. Needs compliments all the time. Past baggage. The fence sitter, sometimes wants to commit, other times not. Somebody divorced twice before. Parents have divorced several times. Somebody too possessive. Too anxious to please. Somebody without their own identity. Different views on money. One is a spender, the other a saver. Too desperate for marriage. Somebody always questioning your love for them or wanting you to prove it. A person who was pressured into getting married by the parents. Complainer. Rarely talks. Gossip. Acts like a helpless loser to get people to do his bidding. Blames the world for his problems. Holds a grudge against the world. Emotional abuser. Don't marry someone who wants to get out of their parents' house. Somebody on a different wavelength than you. Someone whose parents manipulate him. Someone who's alright but does a few things you absolutely can't stand. Somebody desperate for love. Somebody who rarely helps you. Somebody who can't agree with you on where to live, how many children to have, etc. Obnoxious person who always says crude things. Liar who never tells the truth. The nerd. He's more interested in his computer than what any relationship with a real, live girl might bring. Or it could be all a grand con job, hiding behind the computer so that he doesn't have to be a real lover. The slickster con man. He will charm the hell out of you, then when he's got you, he will use you. Promises the world but never delivers. Always blames you and others for everything. The freeloader. Small time, trivial con man. He will use you too. The fake artist. Thinks he's an artist or a great musician and supposedly works on his art while you support him or at least tolerate him. The wimp. Just a sniveling, weak person. The manipulator who cons you into getting what he wants. His vision of life is hedonistic and casual. Too many personal problems. Money problems, can't keep a job. The disability man. Seeks sympathy because of a pseudo-fake disability. A real man, regardless of handicap, doesn't want sympathy. The thief. Steals from you. The liar. All-purpose lowlife. The two-woman man. Two women means the possibility of more women. The addict. Usually in love with booze and drugs, but it could be almost anything else: gambling, church, TV, bridge, cars, soccer, money, anything. Conquest lover. He loves to charm and conquer women for his ego. The shark. Doesn't make any pretense about being a phony macho, ladies' man out for sex, with his gold chains, open shirt, hair in ponytail and all. I spent several years working in bars and these guys got a lot of chicks, probably because they were upfront about it. They attracted a lot of lonely girls that came to the bar. It just goes to show that a lot of women out there will take a two-bit phony over being alone any day, even if they know the guy's a jerk up front. The married lover. He will charm the pants off you and promise that he will get divorced when the kids are a little older, but he rarely ever does. The cheater. He will lie like hell. Promises. Just hot air. The cheapo. All he thinks about is money and how much he's wasting on you. Mama's boy. He is immature and dependent on his mother. His heart belongs to her. Workaholic. Achievement, period. Many men are programmed this way and this is how they live it. The sports addict. How can somebody be that dull that they endlessly watch a bunch of overpaid millionaires playing a stupid game? Then they talk about it all night on them sports talk radio stations. I'm amazed at all the sports trivia knowledge these guys have. If they only spent half of that energy on their girls. The couch potato. He's a jerk because he doesn't care enough to get up off his butt and take you out. The narcissist. Loves himself too much to ever love you. He or she is a little too smooth. Extremely commitment phobic, He's abusive. He's a liar. You want kids, he doesn't. He wants to date other women openly or cheat on you. Excessive drug and alcohol use. Ambivalent in his alleged love for you. Not much communication and emotional connection. Doesn't want to get emotionally close. Puts up walls whenever it starts to happen. Blames everything on you or someone else, never him. Whiner, complainer, critic. Need to be right, tries to control you. Lies to you. Holds grudges. General angst, anger, unused energy, or unfulfilled expectations in life. Anger, lashing out mixed in with deep apologies. Seems insensitive to you. Doesn't try to please you in bed. Can't seem to make it in the outside world. Is constantly frustrated by his lack of success. Jealous of your success in the world. Competes with you. Tries to upstage you. Uses you as his mother. Doesn't show you he loves you. Only wants sex. Doesn't want to please you sexually. Seems to have a lot of anxiety about sex in general, either guilt, repression, shame, performance anxiety, etc. Is the extreme jealous type, feeling that he owns you and no one else should look at you. Acts petty and trivial. Provokes fights. Complains or fights over money. Never buys gifts. Expects sexual favors for gifts. Uses you as a trophy to show off to family and friends. Doesn't love you enough to marry you. Stingy with money. Refuses to do housework because he says it's not manly. No romance, just sex. Takes the pager or cell phone on a date. If they ask to borrow money. Real men never ask their girls for money, nor should girls ask guys for money. He's always leering at other chicks. He's negative, sarcastic, and boisterous. Ignores you, acts like he listens when you talk but really isn't. Always comparing you to his ex. You shoulder all the blame for a bad relationship, thinking that it's off-center because of you, that maybe you don't love him enough. He acts like a sensitive guy but is really just a wimp. You take insults and abuse, accept his wimpy apologies and then do it all over again. You allow him to dominate your life and keep you from your friends and family. He's very cheap. Lies or withholds details about her life. Personality changes depending on who she's with. In a word, phony. Keeps a tray of condoms in plain view by the bed. Too compulsively neat. Too focused on being trendy and fashionable. Too vain. Somebody pretentious, like speaking with an exaggerated upper-class kind of talk or using the middle initial in their name. He's prettier than you and acts it. You've gone way over the balance in sacrificing your life for his. Your man is always doing something bad, then apologizing for it with stupid excuses like, "I was under a lot of stress. I won't do it again." The independent, into his own thing, relationships are a hassle. Mr. Vanity, loves himself, extremely well groomed. Mr. Success, into the chase of business. The extreme sports fan. The guy who doesn't want to work a job, usually an artist or musician. The guy who can't commit to marriage. The guy who uses you as a mother. The guy who uses you as friend to dump his problems on. Married, claims to be on the verge of divorce. Guy too cheap or too poor to spend money on a date. Other interests like internet, motorbikes, etc. Too much booze and drugs. The successful guy who wants a mistress that he showers with presents. The porn or sex addict. The guy who's stuck on his mother. The guy stuck on an ex-girlfriend. The guy who disappears for days at a time, says he'll be somewhere but never shows. Getting out of a bad date. There's a section on how to avoid relationships if you don't want to meet anybody, anti-love, but this section is for when you're out on a date and realize there's nothing there. If you're out on a date and feel no spark, you either leave or keep going on as a good person, but when it's over, simply don't go out again. Get an answering machine so you don't have to return his calls. The more you avoid a straight-out situation where you reject someone you barely know, it's not like a real relationship where you owe the guy or gal an explanation, the smoother everything goes. It's always best to keep going along with someone you don't really like until the date is over, then say it was nice, even kiss them on the cheek if you want, leave and never contact them again. Girls are generally cool. They know that if they let you know they're interested in you and you don't respond, you might be shy or not interested, so they will back up and leave it up to you, either make a move or leave them be. Never lead anyone on pretending to love them when you just want to use them. This is the worst way to play unrequited love. If someone shows interest in you and you don't feel the same about them as they about you, don't play them unless all the cards are on the table and they know it's just gonna be a casual thing. If you do, scorned people can get very angry. Remember that corny old movie Fatal Attraction. At a lot of dates, you might be ambivalent, sitting on the fence, seeing how he or she acts. This happens a lot with someone who looks pretty good, but there's no cosmic sense of the gods shooting divine lightning into you, but then again, he or she's not bad, so you play along, see what happens. If he or she comes on too strong too fast, it could mean several things, all of them bad. Nice people go slowly and respond to the emotional warmth of the person they're with. They're not pushy. If a girl starts talking about marriage or a guy starts talking about sex after only a date or two and keeps calling you up about going out, you have to cut him off up front, because the more you lead him on, the harder it will be to break it off. Beware of too much charm or compliments. He could be a player or a lonely heart who desperately needs to be with someone, not just you for you. Don't make future plans together. Talk about past relationships to see how steady he is, but remember that virtually all guys will tell you they were in a few steady relationships even if they weren't. Simply don't go out with the guy despite how much he bugs you. If a guy you don't love wants to kiss you, turn your head so it catches your cheek or tell him you've got a cold. If he tries to hold your hand, either clench it into a fist or hold it for about 30 seconds, then fake a cough or a nose scratch, after which clench your hand into a fist and keep it away from him. If he does something blatantly forward, give him a dirty look, tell him to slow down or to wait until later, or simply be bold, use a firm tone of voice to tell him he's going way too fast for comfort. If you're on a date and he's being an asshole or she's being too uppity, you could be nice and stay till the end, but why bother? Simply pretend you're going to the washroom and leave. Go out the back door or through the kitchen if you must. Tell the kitchen staff you're getting out of a bad date. Or call your friend, tell her to call you at the restaurant in 5 minutes and make it seem like your father was just taken to the hospital in an ambulance. Go out a window if you must. If you're cool, throw a few dollars down for the meal or for her cab fare, tell her there's no mutual attraction so you're leaving. The reverse exit is to be so nasty and skanky that they leave. Act racist, prejudice against certain religious groups, act like a redneck, fart, argue, belch, fake an allergy attack, act like a hippie radical or a corny conservative, call someone on your cell phone, be rude, etc. But again, I say, why fake it? Just tell them you're not feeling the vibes. Lay some cash down for the meal or her cab fare home and split without the theatrics. On dating shows, I've seen guys and girls get drunk, make fools of themselves, ask the date what she thinks of them, brag to the date how fantastic they are as a human being and how the opposite sex in general is so mesmerized by them. Act arrogant and snobby, get sexual. I saw the one guy ask a girl for a kiss, and when she said no, he said, "Well, I guess a blowjob is out of the question." She actually stayed with him for another hour or so. Why bother? Just get up and leave. Never date someone you feel sorry for. Sympathy dates have a way of sucking you in, especially if you're a good guy or the motherly type. Here are a few getting rid of bad dates one-liners. At dinner, hold your knife and fork as weapons like you're guarding your food. Act like a petty thief. Steal the salt shakers. Put your knife and fork in your pocket, telling your date you need to stock up on cutlery. Ask the waiter for a doggy bag. It's embarrassing on a first date. Act immature and childish. Sneeze without putting your hand up to cover it. Ignore your date. Stare at your date with a stupid smile on your face. Act like you have Tourette's syndrome. Twitch spastically and blurt out stupid things. Be condescending and rude to everybody. Burst into song at inappropriate times. Carry a harmonica. Pull it out and start playing it real bad. Eat off your date's plate without asking. Continue to do it. Chew with your mouth open. Talk with your mouth full. Spray your food. Laugh like a dork, real loud. Simply leave without telling him or her. Tell your date you left your money at home. She has to pay. Act nervous, like you're a fugitive. Lick your plate. Get you or your date drunk. Talk like a pompous intellectual. Break wind loudly. Be straight. Say it's not working out, so let's end it. Getting rid of a dork. If you meet someone somewhere who's coming onto you and you don't really like them, consider lying. The general all-around sleazeball is the charmer, player type who is trying to act too cool while getting his digs into you by paying for everything, offering you the world, telling you how great both he and you are, acting like he's known you all your life, calling you nicknames like honey, sweetie, etc. while still scanning the room looking at other girls. If you really don't like the guy, don't let him buy you a drink, don't say anything but give short, terse answers, let him know you're not interested, move away, talk to someone else, tell the bouncer he's bugging you or leave. If you must talk, start with talking about your husband and kids, then you could say that you were recently divorced and your former, jealous husband is stalking you. Say that you're involved with someone or you have AIDS or some other STD. You could talk about your therapist, your police chief father, your heroin addiction or your terminal cancer. You could say you're moving or just suddenly start acting real screechy, henpecking this poor guy with a lot of gold digger questions. Or you could just tell the truth that there's nothing there, it wasn't meant to be. If he's very pushy, accidentally knock over his drink with your elbow or spill your drink on him when you look at your watch. Act like you're sorry, then leave. Detect a liar. A liar looks in a downward position to the left. The golden rule to detect a liar is to accept the fact up front that everybody has the potential to lie, and many people often do to make a situation go easier, the white lie, or simply to build up their egos, the ol big fish story. The biggest giveaway is the person who pauses before he speaks, either making up the story as he goes along or checking his memory to see if he's violated other parts of his so-called story. What I mean is that quite often when you lie, you have to create a bunch of other lies to keep the story straight, and then when you meet the person later, he'll have in his mind your lies from the past which he may accept as truth, and you may have forgotten all about them, or you may vigilantly have to cover for them. Watch out for charmers, most are liars. Don't assume that because someone doesn't look you in the eye, they're lying. Many smooth cons will look you straight in the eye while they're lying their eyes out. Conversely, many people that are nervous with first encounters are not necessarily liars. There is no universal sign of a liar, but it's a good bet if they lie with the small, trivial stuff, they'll lie with the big, important stuff. Research on deception has shown that many people try to fake facial expressions, but most true, real expressions are very short, hence, if someone puts on a facial expression that lasts longer than 5 seconds, it's probably fake. True facial expressions are those that last less than 1 second. Watch out for a facial expression that doesn't jive with the verbal statement. Along with the pause, watch out for a lot of ahs or uhs, higher tone of voice and body language. Liars often try to go to a monotone and show no body language, but watch for something like a clenched fist or a shrug, which is often a good indicator that the person is lying. Amateur liars often change both body language and voice tone when lying. If you want to catch a liar, ask a quick 2 or 3 follow-up questions and see how quick he gets flustered, then you'll both know he's lying. If all else fails, tell him he's lying and ask for the truth. If you alienate yourself from him, you lose. Associatedcontent.com/article/20087/how_to_tell_someone_is_lying.html blifalu.com/info/lies.php brewdirect.com/dailyinfo/news/archive/July 04/120704/WN03.htm, Lying can sometimes do more good than harm. dig.com econlog.econlib.org/archive/2005/05/detect_lie.html encarta.msn.com/ncnet/features/columns/?article == tell hws.edu/news/update/showwebclip.asp?webclipid == 15child.com/people/how to tell someone lying.htm lsulegacymag.com/issues/march06/story8.html medicinenet.com/script/main/art.asp ?article key =50286 news.bbc.co.uk/1/hi/in_depth/sci_tech/2002/lester_22454887.stm paulkman.com/pdfs/who_kin_catch_a_liar.pdf people.howstuffworks.com sciencenews.org/articles/20040731/bob8.asp signs-of-lying.com signs-of-lying.com/how_to_tell.html thetruthAboutLying.com thewebzine.com/articles/120405liedetection.html truthaboutdeception.com wendy.com/video/html/spot_a_liar.html yfiles.org/shorties/162lie_detect jerk websites. After reading a lot of articles, I've come to the conclusion that some girls think all guys, no matter how nice up front, will eventually become the jerks all men really are according to them. 5min.com/video/how-to-avoid-dating-a-jerk askmen.com askmen.com/dating/advice_200235_dating_tips.html bestsingeleaselinks.com/redflags.html askmen.com/dating beyondjane.com/relationships/dating/5-signs-he's-a-jerk.6155581 bigredflagsblog.com blogs.augusta.com/node/1290, women do like dating jerks and here's why. christinacedino.com/2007/09/10-signs-u-r-dating-a-jerk coaches.aol.com/love-n-sex/john-van-ep/spotting-jerks consciousdating.blogspot.com dailydatingadvice.com dating.personals.yahoo.com/singles/dating-tip s/74753/she says vs he says do girls really like dating jerks dating.personals.yahoo.com/singles/dating-tips/74753/she-says-vs-he-really-like-dating-jerks dating-advice.info datingpearl.com datingspace.wordpress.com datingsupportcenter.com dimsumtv.ca/girls/gay-dating-red-flags.htm thellow-internet-dating.html islandpastoral.bc.ca/married/gay-dating-red-flags.htm itscupid.com/advice/internet-dating-red-flags.htm knowtheirdflags.com wrdating.com drdating.com ehow.com how to get out of the friend zone with the girl who's dating a jerk ehow.com/how_4681285_dating-relationship-before-say-do.html. thedangersoftinternet-dating.com/redflags.htm. internet-dating-flags.sunmoonstars.ca. examiner.com/examiner/x-y-20097d10-red-flashing-over-5-0-examiner-y-2-0-9-m-7d-10-very-eyes. examiner.com/examiner/x-17594-detroit-online-relationships-examiner-y2-009m90-4-online-dating-scammer-scenario. expandedbooks.com/videos/views/458. funnyfly.com/datejerks.html. gay-red-red-ing-separation-divorce.ca. heartless-bitches.com/rants/niceguys/datejerk.html. howtotellifagyisajerk.blogspot.com. husbandcorner.com. ivillage.com, how to avoid dating a jerk. jerk-off-tgp.com. jilliansjournal.com/2008/03/18/advice/5-signs-for-that-your-date-is-a-jerk. kai.hostrator.com/369. lemon.ro-p.com/2009/07/16/r-u-dating-o-steve-o-your-relationships lifescript.com/life/relationships/love-101/moochers_mamas_red_score and_more_flags.aspx. lifewise.canoe.ca/sexromance/lovewise/2007/07/03/4309355.html. marieclaire.com, are you dating a jerk? marieclaire.com/sex-love/men/personal, dating bad guys. marriagepreparation.online.com/personality-issues/dating-red-flags. mentalhealth-article.php?article.157, warning signs that you are dating a loser. michigan.gov/FYIT/0,1607, 160-teen/internet-dating-red-flags.htm. surrogacyonline.ca/hot/internet-dating-red-flags.htm. mensfitness.com/advice/dating_tips. mssinglemama.com. musclyjerk.com. myjerks.com. mylifetime.com/lifestyle/relationships/dating/red-flags. nojerks.com. onlinedatingjerk.com. online-dating-rigHTS.org/dating_tips. onlinedatingtips.org/dating_tips. quietlyintothenight.com/p=486, jerk dating story. quizplease.com/dating/red-flag-quiz.htm. modacolumbia.ca/dating32/internet-dating-red-flags.htm. yolazite.com/love-n-sex/3-dating-red-flags-u-kin-t-ignore. romanceopedia.com/s-red-flags.html. divorce support. dead website, trydotdash.com, verywell.com, and thebalance.com/od/recognizing-red-flags/f/red-flags.htm. top10.org/public/bb/bb376.html lovacoachblog.com/red flags scph.ca/speed/gay-dating-red-flags.htm oprah.com/article/oprah and friends/sbo teach/20080717_off_sbo teach_dating red flags seduction-and-dating.com singlesonthego.com/red flags.html my-dating-advice.com/dating-red-flags.html